Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation X Nation. Thank you to everybody who has liked the channel, who has subscribed, who has left a comment. As always, I always get back to you and I definitely appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. I have 23 more people before I can officially say I have 500, which was my goal. Okay. So I appreciate everybody who has took the time to listen to my videos. As you can see, this is going to be a real quick review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. And I really mean it's going to be a real quick review because there was nothing to see. Just a lot of I'm sorry, not Marceau bashing. And some of it was warranted. Not saying Marceau was innocent. And Chris seemed to be very vulnerable this episode. So we'll see how that all unfolds. But before we get started, my disclaimer, everything on my channel is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. I do my commentary week to week based on the episodes that is aired. We understand episodes are edited, so we may not get to see everything. So normally, I'll wait a little while, see if anything comes up on the social media, the blogs, whatever, as far as somebody talking about what happened in that episode from the actual cast members. And if they don't add anything to it, then I go ahead and run with my commentary. So tonight we're going to discuss pretty much Marceau, Maurice, Kimmy, and the Fletchers, because that's what it really boiled down to. But I will say in the beginning, Letitia and Nell sat down and had a real heart-to-heart conversation. And I think Letitia finally understands that Nell is going through a lot. Now, I think Nell is getting some type of therapy, and if not, I hope she is. But Nell is dealing with, still the grieving of the loss of her mom. And you can't tell people how to grieve. So, and then she's also going through the process of holding the family down. I mean, that's just keep it a buck. Fletcher does not have his real estate license. So Nell is holding the family down, helping out with the grandkids. And it is a lot. I think she has a lot on her plate. And I don't think people are understanding that. And I think Nell is trying to navigate that. And Chris is not helping, in my opinion, with that mental part because he's so worried about his license, his reputation, and I think he's vulnerable and hurting inside because he realized he screwed up trying to help somebody. And we got to be careful helping people because people always coming up with some slick stuff, hook up here, hook up there, do this and do that, and it can cost you everything. And you see right now, it almost cost Chris everything. Now, hopefully by now he's got his license back, but we don't know that. So we're going off of where we at on the episodes. So she confessed all of that in Tisha. And I think Letitia in the beginning, she was kind of, laughing and being a little condescending and smart. But I think at some point she realized Nell is serious and Nell is really going through something very tough right now. And Letitia kind of softened down and actually dug in and listened to what Nell had to say. So I think they left there on a good accord. But as always, Tisha runs and tells Marceau about the conversation and it goes from there. But after that, that scene, they flip over to Kimmy and Maurice, and they're at this restaurant that we remember from 2 years ago, where she had the tasting that and the chef and all of that. And apparently they hired Marceau, and he ain't done nothing. And I'm like, you know that's your brother. You know how he operates. You know he moves slow, and you complaining because nothing has been done. So Kimmy, of course, gaslights Maurice to go over there and talk to your brother. Kimmy, why you ain't said nothing to Letitia about it? Why you just not speaking on it now? If it's been a whole year and nothing's been done, going on 2 years, nothing's been done since y'all hired him, something should have been said. Why have y'all letting it go this long? But you gaslight Maurice so he can go over there and get into it with his brother, and then you sit back and watch the end result. As they say, throw the rock and hide your hand. Because Marceau don't know this is coming from Kimmy, but he probably know now. But once again, Kimmy, keeping the mess started, stirring the pot as usual. So we get over to Letitia and Marceau. They're riding their bikes in the park. Letitia tells Marceau about the conversation. Marceau feels a little skeptical about, you sure you're nail good? Because this could go left again. This may only last a couple of days. And then she mentioned to him about everything Nell is going through. And then she throws in there Fletcher's real estate license being revoked. And then, of course, Marceau was like, well, he hasn't told me. Why hasn't he told me anything? And then they both come to the conclusion, like, you're all telling us to be transparent, but y'all not being transparent. I don't think that's true, Marceau. The Fletchers have been very transparent in their household. I don't know what show you've been watching. It's just, I think the real estate issue is a little close to home, and maybe because it's a legal issue, he don't want to say too much on TV. And it seems like it's involving other people. And then that could cause defamation, lawsuits, everything like that if you bring other people's name up in something to that issue. So I would think Fletcher is probably trying not to talk too much about it because he want to focus on keeping his attorneys abreast and staying focused on trying to get his license reinstated. And maybe that's why he's not telling everybody, because he don't want all of that on camera, okay? Because it probably could be used against him. Now, Marceau meets up with Chris in the next scene, and he starts off real nice. And Marceau, you know, you like I say, I don't have a dog in this fight, and I don't have favorites, but I do like Marceau, um, the way he's been carrying himself this whole season. And right now, I'm kind of like the stuff is piling up on Marceau, and a lot of it is his fault. But at the same time, you guys could have said something to Marceau, because it seemed like he's surprised about a lot of stuff that's happening, or the way y'all feeling about it. He had no idea, you know. So they're sitting there talking, and Marceau was like, "Well, look, we were supposed to be doing some business together, and I have no idea this happened. You ain't told me anything." And Chris like, "Well, I ain't supposed to be coming and telling you. Who are you for me to come tell this to?" And he said, we talked over a year ago. Why are you concerned about that now?" And I get what Marceau is saying. He's like, Marceau moves at Marceau's pace. And as I always said, hey, Marceau ain't showed me no finished projects. Okay. However, I'm starting to see on Instagram where Tisha shows some offices. Marceau is showing a little bit more on Scott's Manor, what he's building out there. So he's trying to put stuff out there so we can see he's still working and he almost completing stuff. But we'll get back to that later. So they're going back and forth. And then Fletcher finally just comes out and say, "I'm a pillar in the community." So when he said that to me, I read that as Fletcher is really hurt by losing his license. People may be looking at him differently. People held him to a higher standard and looked up to him. He is what do you call it, a role model, and look where he's at. So I think he has a little vulnerability and shame going on because he allowed himself to get caught up in something. Now, allegedly, I don't know what it is, so everything I'm saying is alleged, but Kimmy walked through the process of how you get to having your license revoked, and she was saying there's, a complaint filed, there's an appeal process, and this and that and the third. Basically, she was trying to say if it gets to revocation, that is literally the last straw. Like something happened where they feel that they can actually revoke your license. So Fletcher mentioned something to the effect that he was doing something for a friend. So what I can gather is what Fletcher did was very probably illegal. And it probably was against whatever the rules are as a realtor in the state of Alabama. And it probably involved money. Because anytime it's, certain people, I'm helping out a friend, probably involved some money. So more than likely, whatever was going on, they needed a person with a real estate license to do it. And Fletcher put his license on the line. Marceau tried to convince Fletcher, your license is for everybody. That's everybody's license. And Fletcher is like, what are you talking about? He said, your license is for the community. Like everybody can come to you and get something done because you have a license. Kind of makes sense and doesn't. Because at the end of the day, like Fletcher said, I took that test by myself, not the community. So license is for me to run my business, which makes sense. But part of your business is getting the community into homes and selling property and stuff for the community. So it's a tenfold there. Um, I just didn't like Fletcher and Marceau going at it. So Fletcher just kind of said, hey, my name my name means a lot in this community. And Marceau was like, I can't do business with somebody basically who's not telling me everything. And he said, you never signed no contracts with me. This was over a year ago. What are you complaining about? And they went back and forth. And of course, the scene ended with Fletcher basically saying, I am a pillar in this community and I got basically more respect than you'll ever get here. People know me. We'll leave it at that. After the argument, like I said, I felt Fletcher was feeling some type of way. I think it was more for him embarrassment and shame because he allowed himself to get caught up in some kind of scheme with somebody else. And I'm not going to say it was a scam or a scheme or anything like that. It's just a lot of times we know how we do. Hey, I need a hookup. Can you do this and this for me? And you're taking all the risks if you get caught. Never do that. Especially, I wouldn't put my license online for anybody. If you got you pass the bar exam, you're an attorney, a doctor, a lawyer, anything that you have to be certified and licensed for, you don't put that on the line for anybody because you spend hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to get that degree or that certification. And like you said, you go in there and take that test yourself. Nobody's in there with you. Don't you risk your livelihood trying to help somebody else out who ain't doing stuff the right way. That's all I'm saying. Because the risk needs to be equal. You lost your license. That person you helped probably ain't lose nothing. And probably got mad because it didn't happen the way you wanted to happen. And probably turns you in because they had the evidence against you. That's usually how that kind of stuff happens. All right. Then Fletcher goes and he sits and talks to Nell. Nell has a one-on-one with him, on the front porch, and that's when you can actually see Fletcher breaking down as a man. Um, I seen him more vulnerable than I ever seen him, and he actually showed emotions and feelings because it seemed like to me this whole situation he was just kind of putting on a facade and hiding behind what was really going on. And I think it took Nell to let him see, hey, this is real. This is what's happening. If you feel some type of way, just say it. And I think that's when Fletcher kind of realized, I shouldn't have did what I did and I put my family at risk and I got to get myself out of it. And at that moment, I'm be honest, I felt a little, tingy in my heart for Fletcher. Like, God, leave Fletcher, I like you. But again, for them to say Fletcher's not being transparent is crazy to me. Now, moving on. Now, the last thing basically was the Scott brothers going back and forth. Marceau and Maurice. Maurice pulls up. I don't know if that was a Lamborghini or a Corvette because earlier, because they kind of look alike to me. I was trying to see the emblem, but I couldn't. But he has that car, and then he has the G wagon he drives around in. So Maurice must be rolling in dough because he seems to, like the finer cars. Either he leasing or buying them, but those are not cheap cars he's riding around in. So he comes up to the site, friendly with Marceau. They get in the car, and then they go out and see the thing. Now, when they get up to Scott Manor, right now at the present time, the house looks a little better. It's more constructed than what it is here. So you could tell this was filmed a while back. But it's just a bunch of iron rod and some cement. And Marceau was like, what is going on here? I mean, I saw Marceau. Maurice, like, what is going on here? And Marceau was like, yeah, we got this going on, and just poured semen. And I'm waiting on the people to get the custom fit. Building the house is different than building commercial real estate because we got to get more welding done, and I got to get a permit for this and that. And Maurice is just looking, where's your crew? Well, I mean, I don't need them here right now. I'm going to tell you something. Marceau never has a crew. And if he has a crew, it's 2 people or 3 people. So Scott Construction or Realtor or whatever he is literally a one-man show. That's what I'm thinking, which is Marceau. Marceau must get in his truck, drive down to the local Home Depot and get some day workers when he need them. Come up there, they do what they do. He drop them off, and then he does the rest on his own. So Marceau has showed us a building he's working on to build his new offices. And then the place that Kimmy and Maurice is opening up and Scott's Manor. He's working on all 3 of them, but none of those places did you see a crew at. The crew is Marceau. Now, Marceau may be saving thousands doing it himself, but it takes a while. So anyway, Maurice started talking about this restaurant, what is taking so long, and Marceau is like, look, I do the building. I don't do all the architectural and structure and permit stuff. You guys want to change this? And he mentioned something about putting up I think one of those stacks you put up over the cooking things that the smoke go out of, like a chimney. And he was like, that has to be done over. We have to do structural changes and knock down walls and this and that. And that has to be done by certain people. And I need a permit for this and a license for this. And I have to get approval before we can start pulling this out and all of that. And I completely understand that, because you have bearing walls, you have gas lines, you have plumbing, you have different things you may have to move around depending on how they want that place restructured or remodeled. But I guess my issue, just like Maurice, well, how long does it take to get these permits? And I know the permits may be a fee for each one you're trying to do, and maybe a fee for somebody to go and do the blueprints over to restructure to show where the lines need to go and the water lines need to go and the gas lines and all that, but electrical wiring. But Marceau, it's been way over a year. So I get why Maurice is pissed off. But Maurice, why did it take Kimmy to gaslight you to go argue with your brother? You should have been checking on that. But in Maurice's mind and Kimmy's mind, this is just a small project. He worried about his house and these office buildings. So that's great. You said the office buildings you're paying for out of your own pocket. So that should be the last thing you're getting done per se. That restaurant of your brother's should be the top priority if your brother's paying you. Your house, I don't know who paying you to build that house. That's just something you want to do. But when Maurice said, you came up here on the side of a freaking mountain and pushed some dirt over and poured some goddamn concrete and put some iron up, and you did all that, it for what? You know, he said, my building ain't but 1,000 square feet. It should not take this long. It's a year later and we still haven't got nothing done. And I think that pissed Marceau off. Marceau, like, so what? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? He said, I know how to get you motivated. I know how to get you motivated. And then Maurice Marceau said, what, are you gonna sue me? Don't you got a lawsuit already? Matter of fact, Chris Fletcher asked Marceau when he was telling him about his license being revoked. He said, did you tell me about your lawsuit? That shut Marceau up. Marceau was like, ooh, okay, you know about that? So Marceau got a lot going on. And I keep saying in the videos when I talk about his construction projects, I don't see finished projects. I don't see a crew. And the only time I ever seen a crew when they showed him videotaping is one or two people there. Maurice said he pulled up because he was on Instagram talking about the site. And I'm like, good Lord, you talking about it, you showing it on Instagram, but ain't nothing actually being done. When you pull up, ain't nobody there but you. So he kept saying, I know how to motivate people. He said, hey, what you gonna sue me? He said, you keep going, I'll get you motivated. I'll get you motivated. And then he called Maurice slimy ass. And that hurt Maurice's feelings. Maurice said, you calling me a slimy ass lawyer? I know you just didn't call. I'll walk down the hill. And he went to walking down. So said, I'll ride you back down there, brother. That's okay. I'll walk. Slam him up. That's okay. I'll get you motivated. This is all Kimmy fault. Kimmy done gaslighted Maurice to go up there and argue with his brother about a project that's been sitting over a year. You know how your brother is. You know he's slow at getting stuff done. You know he move in his own time. Why did you go up there and do that? It ain't gonna make it move any faster. Kimmy, you know, you said y'all know how Marceau works. So why did you gaslight Maurice to go up there and start that big argument with Marceau? He ain't gonna move no faster. If anything, it just piss him off, and he'll leave the way it is until you go find somebody else to do it, and then you back to square one. But I understand Maurice's thing, because you and Kimmy committed to that chef lady that this building would be done over a year ago so she can work out of there. But you shouldn't have never made that commitment knowing how your brother is. So the brother's like, hey, do you want a family discount? Because if you getting a family and friends discount, you won't be the priority. He'll get to you when he get to you, but he gonna make sure his building is done first, his office space, his wife office space, and their house get halfway done. Then he'll get to y'all. But in that whole year's time, you guys have lost money that you could have been making in that building, in that event space. So it all comes full circle. I understand why you mad, Maurice. I understand why you mad, Marceau. But I'm going to say this, Marceau, in this episode, you are wrong. You're going to have to put on big boy panties, drawers, whatever you call it. Go get you a real crew A real crew. Get that office space done. That's a small project. The office space ain't that good as a shopping plaza. Get it moved out, get them buildings done. And trust me, you go get you about 6 people, they'll have that thing done in about 2 weeks. Get that done, signed and ready to go. And then you go get another 6 people crew, get them blueprints done, get them permits signed, and they can have that doggone little bistro of a restaurant probably done in less than 90 days, complete and ready to go. It ain't that hard, but you're going to have to dig deep in your pockets and pay these people to get it done instead of going and trying to do it yourself. And Maurice, your wife says she loves to see you working. That makes turns her on. She likes to see Dirty Hand Maurice. And your brother Marceau said, get out of your soft boy air and roll up your damn sleeves and come help. Go help. It's a win-win for you. You don't have to worry about Kimmy complaining, not being intimate with you, because she gonna come over there and break you off something while you down there putting down flooring. According to her, it's a win-win for everybody. At the end of the day, this episode was pretty much about Marceau and his construction and how he moving slow. And actually, that's what Love and Marriage Huntsville was about, real estate and construction. So we actually seen something, a whole episode that had to do with that, along with some homegrown little mess going on with the families and getting along with each other. But that's what we should have been focusing on the whole time. But one person, once again, noticeably not there, is a Martell. I don't know what's going on with Martell, but he gets less and less screen time. That's weird. And before I leave, I'm going to say this about Martell um, and the ex-castmate. This is not part of the show, but she did post something the other day on Instagram about Drew and her situation with her ex-husband Ralph. And I did do a short about Drew and Ralph. And I mean, I get where she was coming from because she's been through the exact same thing, but she kind of said what I was saying. I just said it in a different way. Drew, I know you're trying to make money for your children. You're doing these TV shows, these Tubi movies. You're doing Instagram posting and getting that influencer money, whatever. But you got to focus on one thing: is them children and what's going on with that man of yours. You got that man living under the basement in your house at that time. I'm assuming you're moving out now because they told you to move out. The whole time you thinking you getting over Ralph, it was clocking everything you doing. He's down there. He knows when you leave the house, when you come in the house. He sees when you take off in the morning with the kids to take them to school. If you're leaving on time, if the bus picks them up, he's going by the school checking their records. You got to stop playing, dumb, thinking it's cute, because you're not dumb. You're a highly intelligent girl, but you come off a little bit slow on screen. You got to stop doing that. This is serious. This is your life, and these are your children. And Ralph is getting his blueprint. We all know from Martell. We know that. And now you done drag the ex-wife in there. And so, people are going to be saying stuff about her. Why she all up in it? Why she ain't got anything to do with it? She's still bitter about Martell and all that. That lady ain't bitter. That lady ain't bitter, but it's funny how her presence just irritates the hell out of people. And I'm like, do you know her personally? Because the hate that you give to a person from a TV show is just astonishing to me. She's on a television show and y'all hate her as though, well, I won't say hate her. Y'all be hating on her as though y'all know her personally. That's weird to me. Okay? You may not like how she handled her marriage, her divorce, how she talks about, but she has a right to say and do whatever she wants pertaining to that man, because she was in it with him for all those years and she had 4 children by him. So if she want to talk about him from now to the cows come home, that's her business. She lived it. Y'all didn't. That's her life experience. Okay? That is her life experience. The same people who be talking crap about her probably sitting there, then stayed and hung in with a dude that cheated on them 4, 5, 11 times, then been to jail and back. Y'all putting money on his books and all of that. Maybe some women don't want to stay. They feel they don't want to be tied to a person who disrespects them. And if that's how she feels, let her feel, let her live her life. She's over it. She's done. She's moved on. But she has a right to talk. She has a right to speak on it. She has a right to advise her friend if she feel her friend is going through something similar. Y'all do it. When your girlfriends call, girl, he did what? Girl, if that was me, I'll do blase, blase, blase. Don't act like y'all don't do it. But she can't. Leave that lady alone. Let her raise her children. Let her live her life, sell her products. She ain't bothering anybody. And if you don't like her, here's a clue. Just scroll on by. You ain't got to say nothing to her. You don't have to answer. You don't have to like anything. You don't have to leave a comment. You could just say, you know what? I'm not even going to respond to that and keep on going if that's the way you feel. But it's just amazing to me, the stuff I see. And I'm sorry, I just had to say it because I believe in supporting each other and helping each other. And I believe allowing people to live their life how they choose to live it. Because at the end of the day, you only have to answer for yourself, nobody else. And that's all I'm saying. And with that, you guys go and have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna be recording these housewives tonight, see what they got going on. Hopefully, I get some out tomorrow for you guys. Um, Pray for the country. Pray for our service members overseas. Hopefully, these issues will be resolved soon because yeah, it's just not looking good. All right. And you guys go and have a great rest of your day. Peace. And as always, I'm out.